So the Madaga Commission of Inquiry is on recess until the 1st of June 2026. Not recess, but more like it halted because they are going to compile the second preliminary report, and they need these 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, to compile that particular report. And then on the 1st, we resume the Madaga Commission of Inquiry. And looks like with the recommendations that are going to be made in the prelim report, we might see big guns actually getting arrested, possibly the likes of Shadrach Sibiya, the likes of Sinona, and all these are the big guns that we've had at the Madaga Commission of Inquiry hot seat. It's getting lit, y'all. So, because we are on recess on the other side, so I thought, let me go back to my original matter. One that I'm still very passionate about, but it did a lot of mental, screwation in my head because the judge, particularly the Judge Rada. Yes, I'm talking about the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. So this morning, I decided, hey, let's sit down and watch. But before I watch, I also want to familiarize myself with what is actually going on. So Ntanzi is done with his testimony. I believe this is the longest testimony probably that court has ever experienced. I stand corrected. It felt way long and traumatizing because of things that are being exerted onto somebody. You can tell they are innocent. I know what you're going to say, but you know when you know a person is innocent. But if you are going to stiffen your neck and say, you don't know that, let the court decide, you are right still, but you're still a human being yourself. You have instincts, you've got logic, you've got intellect. Use them. That's all I'm saying in that one. So now that I picked up, the defense has now finally, after Captain, was it Mchali? Remember, Captain Mchali came and he was different from all the other police officers that came to testify. I think he was in charge of the SAP 13 store where they stored firearms and other evidence. And then there's this particular 9mm that he looked at and he said, hang on a minute, but this 9mm was due for destruction because it already has a conviction. And I believe the convicted person for that particular firearm was accused number 3 for unaliving a taxi owner as an inkabi. So now why is it here? He didn't understand that. They were like, why is this particular? Because he says he knows his pieces in the SAP 13 store. I can't remember which police station this was. Could be Ayrton police station. I'm not quite sure. And then now we come to the 16th of June 2020 when Bongani Ntanzi gets arrested. So from what I understand with the cross-examination that I watched from Dr. Sibanda was to take the witness whom I believe is Captain Mahlangu, if I'm not mistaken, who was working on that particular night with Warrant Officer Maisela and another. And Mr. Mahlangu, he says he was a commander at the charge office, so he was not particularly responsible for the cells and everything else that needs to take place in the cells. However, he starts taking the court through a process when a person is brought to, a suspect when he's brought to the police station. Of course, there are certain things that the police need to look at. The first thing, you. Okay, we have a suspect, it is you. Now what do you have on you? So that these things are collected and they are placed in relevant, storerooms. And I believe that storeroom is called SAP 22. Now, there's also SAP 14. Now, SAP 14, it is an occurrence book. So you walk into the police station as a suspect with handcuffs on, and then the charge officer looks at you and say, okay, now what do you have on you? Then you're going to say, oh, I have a set of keys. When I was arrested, I was away from my house. I have a set of keys to my house. I have my cell phone. I have money. I have jewelry. I have, I don't know, whatever it is the person may have when they get arrested. So what does the police do? They strip you of all those things. They put them in a bag I think it's a zip bag. And then they write your name and your all the details they need to put in there. And then, of course, if you're wearing shoes with shoelaces and you have a belt, all of those things are taken because the last thing the police want is to be responsible for you hanging in the rafters of your cell. So they take all of these things and they put them in the bag and then they ship them to SAP 22. That's where they are stored. Now, what is the whole purpose of this particular exercise in court? It's the accusation that Ntanzi had his cell phone at all times when he was incarcerated, which also included him being driven around the country. I know I'm exaggerating. Between Joburg, the Northwest, Nongoma, and back to Pretoria, Joburg, that sort of stuff. They say he had his cell phone at all times, including when he was in the cell. So now the rest of us were like, that couldn't be. That couldn't be, not, even if you threw a short or a long shot, it couldn't be. It's improbable because of this process that must happen. So if Ntanzi did indeed have his cell phone on him, that means Mr. Mahlangu, who is now testifying, Mr. Mayesela, who does the checking of cells, counting the heads and all of that stuff, and whoever officer that collected items from him to store in SAP 22 did not do their jobs. Therefore, they have violated the law. That means they are eligible for them to get arrested. The man that is testifying is eligible to get arrested for not following process and allowing a suspect who could conduct hits from inside prison to the outside world, make commands, run businesses, etc., and so on. Ntanzi was very clear about where his cell phone was. It was taken from him the moment he got arrested on the 16th of June 2020. And then while he was in the car, he could actually hear his cell phone ping. He could hear messages coming through. And sometimes he would even hear the cell phone ringing. Where the cell phone? In the possession of the arresting officers. Mabena, the late Mabena. All of that stuff was happening. Never once since he's been arrested, he had possession of his cell phone. Now, the reason why they are pinning the cell phone onto Ntanzi, because there are some discrepancies that don't make sense, that shouldn't make sense, if you know what I mean. Especially when a person is in jail and all of their personal items have been collected. And I think, of course, because there was a point where I think it was Sergeant Mukhanu, who wanted Ntanzi to unpin his cell phone. And the next thing, there's a name that Ntanzi never knew about. And then there are alteration, by the way, in his cell phone. So it's quite clear that the police were working and designing and fabricating names and also looking into who else can we get from his contacts that we can smear something, intimidate, or whatever the case might be, so that they come and testify against Bongani Ntanzi type of situation. So highly probable. I mean, we are learning about the South African police corrupt to the core. And I am saying it again, these police officers that made this arrest, they are corrupt to the core. Every police officer that took the stand, except for Captain Mchali and except for Captain Mahlangu right now on the stand, and I guess Mayesela is also going to be called on the stand and he's going to tell his side of the story. So basically, this is where we're at the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. Now, Sibanda is not getting what he wants out of this particular witness because the witness is adamant on his duty on that particular day of the 16th of June 2020 and what transpired and also things that were not found on Bongani Ntanzi. As he said, a pair of keys were found on him. And he says, no such a thing was actually found, including a cell phone was not found on Bongani Ntanzi, which corroborates with what Ntanzi said when he got arrested by Mabena and another, that they confiscated his cell phone. I mean, we've even heard I think one of the arresting officers who said whenever they are going to make an arrest and the suspect does have stuff like a cell phone, they will confiscate the cell phone because to them, a cell phone can also be a gold mine. Like it will give a clear direction where to go from here. So that corroborates with the fact that when he was taken to the police station, he had no cell phone on him. So, which once again shows that the state is fabricating this case. This state is also smearing the death of Senzo Meyiwa on innocent people. Now, of course, Mr. Ramosipili did a, what do you call that thing again? After cross-examination, re-examination. He re-examined him and once again confirmed that nothing was found on Bongani Ntanzi on the 16th of June 2020. So that's where we are at with the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. And I feel a little bit, ooh, okay. And by the way, speaking of the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, I didn't know that the Meyiwa family are going to Pretoria at the Union Buildings to march for this case to be speeded up because it's torturing them. And I understand. I did not know. Had I known, even though, I don't know if you guys know about me, I'm clumsy. Those of you who have been following me would know that in my house, we don't have ceramics because I'm a clumsy oof. I have either things that are made of, is it zinc? I don't know, whatever. And others are made of plastic so that if I drop something, it doesn't necessarily hit the ground. The only ceramic thing that I have is my coffee mug. And even that too, whenever I hold it, I'm literally like this. I don't know why. So I also happen to be quite careless with my body. And I sprained my ankle. It is swollen. I wish I could show you. If you can see, I have a swollen ankle right now. Why? Because I'm a clumsy oof. So I would have went there to give moral support at the march. And on top of that, I did not know this was going to take place to begin with. Now I am nursing a swollen ankle. If you have a swollen ankle and you are on the 14th floor, 14th floor, I wish. When you are on the 40th floor and well into your 40th floor, child, it's now child's play, if you know what I mean. So I wish the Meyiwa family the best of luck, even though constitutionally speaking, separation of powers where the judiciary cannot interfere with the executive, just like the executive can't interfere with the judiciary, which is actually the textbook definition of what's going on or what the Meyiwa family is doing there. They are asking the executive to interfere with the judiciary with the case. I understand the desperation, guys. It's like I said, I'm traumatized by this case. If I am not related to Senzo Meyiwa or the family, how much more for the family? How much more? So I understand. I truly, truly understand their desperation because this is justice denied. The longer this matter is in court, it's justice denied. The process that they're thinking they're going to want to give the Meyiwa justice, it's no longer that anymore to them. It is torture. It is torture. So anyways, I hope things go well. The message is heard, but you know the court, right? Lady Justice is blind. And also, so I don't know. Oh gosh, this frustrates me so much. It really does. But anyways, I will be following the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial now and again because I'm sure the next witness is going to be Warrant Officer Maisela, who was present on the night of the 16th of June 2020 when Bongani Ntanzi as a suspect was brought in. And the cell phone issue. Now, let me squeeze in the appearance of Brown Mukhotsi. Brown Mukhotsi, I was a little bit confused when I was looking at his face. Is he crying or laughing? Upon looking a little bit closer, I noticed that he was actually laughing. He was not crying. He has that face that you're not quite sure if he's crying or whatever is going on. No, he was just laughing. And from what we hear from his lawyer is that he's in good spirit. but he's very shocked at the arrest and the way the arrest was conducted. It sounds also like there is a change of tune about his arrest being unlawful, because the lawyer was asked of that aspect, he said, well, Bramukhosi is just focusing now on getting himself freed on bail. And bail, of course, well, the matter was postponed until next week, Monday, the 25th of May, so that they can verify his address as well as bail application. Now, I was a little bit confused by the lawyer, because the state says they want his residential address, and the lawyer is like, but they know his address already. And then he goes on to say that last year when he was raided, they raided his business premises, and therefore that is an address, not his residential address. Hello, sir, you are a lawyer. I'm sure you've been through a criminal case before. You defended a client. Don't you think when they're looking for an address, they're actually looking for a residential address, not a business address? And if you're giving multiple different addresses, or you have multiple homes where you lay your head and you're still at home, you are a flight risk. So they need residential address. That is what is going to be verified by the investigators in this matter. Well, he even played a little bit dumb about what happened in Vosloorus in November, that his life was in danger. Why? Because the question was, is he fearful for his life? And he says, yeah, after the incident in Vosloorus, he's been living in fear. He's paranoid. And he also does not trust the police station that he is kept in. He would rather be sent to a prison. And then in my head, I'm like, that was the plan. Remember my theories? That was the plan. The plan is take me to a prison. But he's hoping that that prison is not going to be Johannesburg or Sun City, but Koshimampuru, because he's got a briefcase, in my opinion, by the way. In my opinion, he has a briefcase full of indaba, also instructions, also what to say, what not to say. And on top of that, I think they may have heard that Kat Matlala is willing to sing like a canary by striking a deal with the state. So I think Bramukhosi was supposed to be that agent to go and stop that. Hence, he's saying he doesn't want to be in the police station he is in. He wants to go to a jail. Even if he does go to Johannesburg, Sun City, maybe there are already people that are lined up to connect him with Kat Matlala. Guys, I'm just speculating here. I'm not saying these are facts. I'm just using my two IQs here, rubbing them together, and I'm like, something looks like a strategy here to me. Oh, it's too strategic for me. And I don't think he foresaw his arrest for perjury and defeating the ends of justice. He wanted the Madanga to be the one that makes an arrest because it's in Pretoria. So incarcerating him meant taking him to Koshimampuru. Anyways, it looks like Kat Matlala is forging ahead with the bargaining with the state. Somebody asked, why would he do this now? I said, I suspect he is a wounded lion. He is scorned where he is. When he got arrested, or maybe prior to his arrest, there were, of course, like you need to have people in the right places. Politicians, police officers, runners like your Bramukhosi and all of those sort of people. And the people at the top are the ones that obviously make promises such as we will protect you, we'll create a corridor for you to even get out of the country and be a fugitive, but we'll still take care of you while Umafata there in the world. And he gets arrested in May 2025, and it's a year later. None of these people have moved or shaken in making sure that he is released. Buying of judges, buying of prosecutors, nobody's doing anything. So he thought, I ain't going down by myself here. I'm gonna sing. So sing, Kat Matlala, sing. And right now, I think every South African should now keep their eyes glued to every step and every action that is going to take place about Kat Matlala, because there might be panic going on from the top cops, the politicians, runners, and all those other people. Maybe now they are waking up to, okay, let's get him out, let's get him out. Oh yes, umkwanas. Anyways, those are my thoughts, guys, about what is going on today. We know that Sibanyoni, Sindani, and co-accused are also going to be appearing for the first time in court in Mpumalanga. There's a lot of stuff going on in South Africa this Monday, but I will bring you all of them and I will give you my peace of mind about them. Of course, when I say peace of mind, I don't mean it in the rude way. I mean it, I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I think is actually going on. Because in this country, you need to read between the lines. If you don't read between the lines, at least go in depth and try and make sense of what exactly is going on. Hence, my two IQs, they rub together and say, Clantus, is up. Give me your ear. And I'll be like, what? What do you... And, oh, really? And then I come and I sit here and I talk to you about it. Anyways, guys, whatever you do, please take care of yourself, take care of your family, and defend this country with everything you've got. I'll see you later. Goodbye.